Ukraine. There's a meeting in Europe today, and another meeting tomorrow of Western leaders to talk about, amongst other things, what to do about Ukraine. 105, the absence of the Secretary of Defense from today's meeting is getting a lot of attention. He's skipping the meeting and sending our friend Matt Whitaker instead, who's the U.S. ambassador to NATO. I talked to David Ignatius on Next Up about Ukraine, Russia. And David was, I thought, strikingly pessimistic about the prospect of Ukraine doing well enough on the ground in the absence of a peace deal, which he thinks won't happen, in order to have leverage by the end of the year to get a peace deal on somewhat favorable terms. Here is the legendary David Ignatius, 107.
The thing that worries me and most people, I think most, is the danger to Ukraine's cities as Ukraine's air defenses begin to run out. There just aren't enough interceptors in the world to keep firing at the number of missiles and drones coming in. And then the level of destruction for Ukraine that's beyond anything we've seen. That's my fear. That by September, those cities will be in much more ragged shape.
David has been to Ukraine many times, including recently, and throughout the interview, I was struck by how concerned he was that there was no good outcome here and that the administration doesn't seem to have a plan. Sean, what is the best case outcome for Ukraine now?
Ceasefire.
On what terms?
I mean, that's the on no discussion of NATO membership, no further massive weapons transfers. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, this sort of becomes the $1 million question of like what surrounds that. I think it's starting to become clearer and clearer that Putin is not going to, like, he's willing to wait this thing out. Yeah. And he's getting enough funding from oil and gas from Iran and North Korea and China that, like, he knows he's got enough of a lifeline, and he knows he can wait these guys out.
Yeah. One of the things David and I discussed was there were three, from the beginning of the war, there were three ostensible pressure points on Putin: Russian public opinion, Russian economy, and I'm like Rick Perry now, and not having enough bodies to throw at Ukraine because he was losing so many early on. None of those three are factors right now. None of those three are pressure on Putin. So Dan, I know you've been bearish on this for a long time with your Ignatian sensibility. What's your view of the best case right now?
Yeah, Mark, that was a great interview, by the way. I did everything that you've just raised. Kind of all the evening I was thinking about this last night. I don't know. I mean, I think, to Sean's point, Putin doesn't want to stop. So I think a ceasefire, Putin will have to feel like he can't gain any more. So, like, in other words, does he really want to keep fighting for 3 or 4 more years? I don't think we've got the appetite to do that. I really don't think Europe does either. Like, if that was what they got on a conference table and said, we have 5 more years and hundreds of billions of dollars and arms, I just think people are like, yeah, no. And Putin knows that. So I think somehow to get a ceasefire and say, as Sean said, you're not going to go into NATO. You can't get any more territory. There's going to be some peacekeepers like we have in South Korea, like a DMV type of thing that you know, it's a tripwire. You can't go over it. And
did you guys look at the list?
Out Putin, he dies of cancer or whatever. I mean,
did you look at the list of what Russia wants right in this current set of talks?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
They want them to, like, to legislate basically that Russian is the language of. They don't want them teaching certain things in their schools. I mean, this is not a negotiation. This is sort of like what you would do if you defeated them.
I don't know if you read all the way down to the bottom of the list, but they wanted the Washington Wizards' next 2 first-round draft picks as well. Like, they asked for everything.
Yeah, they can't have a defense. They can't have military.
Now, the one thing, and again, I'm keying off of what David Ignatius said, the Germans and the French and the Brits are actually in this pretty seriously. So it's possible that they could bridge it. But again, just the facts on the ground are just brutal. The drone attack might have, cause war historians to get all excited and give the Ukrainians a shot in the arm. But they're not gonna get Crimea back, and they're not gonna be allowed to be in NATO. And the one bright thing, but it's a long-term bright thing, is, as David said, the one thing Putin wanted to stop, which is to have Ukraine not be European facing, but to be Russia facing, he's lost. They'll never be Russia facing, at least unless Putin conquers the whole thing.
Like what you see? Why don't you subscribe? This is a great opportunity to be part of unique conversations. Just hit the subscribe button. And if you want to watch our events live, go to twoway.tv.